Good morning, and welcome to Mail Manager's webinar presentation entitled Data, Innovation, and Digital: How Oil and Energy Firms Can Gain a Competitive Advantage by Embracing the Digital Future. Ben has 4 years of experience helping project and client-based businesses effectively manage their inboxes and eliminate their email headache overnight. Mail Manager was originally developed by Wrapup and is now part of IdeaGen. We welcome all of your questions, and we encourage you to use the questions and comments box in this Zoom interface, questions which Ben will monitor throughout his demonstration and answer as they arise. Following Ben's presentation, we'll have a short question and answer period to take additional questions. Welcome, Ben.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Greg, for that introduction. And yeah, everyone, really appreciate your time and taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. As Greg said, what today's session is all about is digital innovation and data transformation, how oil and energy firms can gain a competitive advantage by embracing the digital future. A quick kind of introduction and a bit to kind of add on to the housekeeping that Greg mentioned there. So what we're going to cover through today is a couple of slides on a bit of background as to why and the current challenges facing the oil and energy industry, how digital transformation and innovation can really be used to provide a competitive advantage. I'll then run through a bit of a simple solution demonstration of Mail Manager that can really help and has helped a number of different companies globally improve and increase their collaboration and visibility across business projects. And then a bit of an inside look at how a client of ours, Offshore Design Engineering, have also used machine learning and automation to really revolutionize their email and help it improve their business function. Just to touch on a point that Greg made earlier, we have got a Q&A feature in here and a chat feature too. So if anyone's got any questions as we go through, I'll be encouraging you to send those through. And as Greg mentioned as well, I'll be doing my best to monitor as many as those. And yeah, hopefully I've got time to cover off the majority, if not all of those questions throughout. But yeah, without any further ado, as I say, today we're looking at how oil and energy firms really can create that competitive advantage by embracing digital solutions. But really, to understand how firms can do this, firstly, I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive into the current issues facing the industry and really see where you can find opportunities to improve. Three of the main challenges firms are dealing with today, you can see on screen. And they're firstly, unstoppable and unstable political climates. Global trade negotiations and unstable political climates really can create significant risk to supply and demand for oil and gas companies. Running projects in unstable countries means firms are subject to shifting political landscapes and inconsistency in regulatory environments. And this can really make project revenues and deals unpredictable, really. The second point is those unpredictability around operational costs. So the oil and gas firms really have been slow to embrace technology in a lot of instances that we've seen, certainly technology and innovation, making them reliant on old, outdated operating systems. And this really means that businesses have been fairly slow to react to the fluctuating changes in the market. If firms are to survive, then there needs to be doing so by means of being agile and being able to pivot quickly. And the final point on screen there, supply chain silos and weaknesses. So the supply chain, with its various moving parts and lack of transparency, is an area that offers significant risk for wasted costs and resources and offers one of the most critical opportunities for improvement. So what can oil energy firms do to really achieve a competitive advantage? So firstly, they can harness and utilize data to streamline processes. There are many AI, automation, and data-driven solutions available. I'm sure, like Greg mentioned, that phrase AI and sort of data digitalization enhancement gets thrown around a lot. But there's a lot of these solutions out there that will help companies improve efficiency and help reduce emissions. And a second point, firms can also make use of the data to make a more informed business decision. Implementing a data-driven approach to business will enhance competitive advantage and also allow firms to pivot depending on industry conditions. Projects can also be seamlessly connected with AI, drones, robotics, and virtual reality, so firms can make better decisions about what projects to take on and where to drill. And in addition to this, collecting and analyzing data can really help the business better understand production processes and the opportunities to maximize them moving forward. And the last point, businesses can use digital information and innovation to cut costs significantly. Through digital solutions, it's easy to spot and cut out inefficient workflows and processes and focus really on replicating and refining the successful ones. Not only does this stop firms from wasting money, it also allows firms to accurately predict the costs of projects and provide investors and stakeholders with confidence in those jobs. So the problem is that many firms, as I say in the previous slide, are quite slow to embrace this technology and don't really realize the full potential of digital transformation, or not least how it can revolutionize business and its operations. Technology today offers so much room for improvement, but some of these critical areas that provide the most significant opportunity for improvement really are the digital innovation and automation. As I mentioned previously, with multiple digital tools available, technology presents today's firms with previously unavailable opportunities to develop and grow these jobs, manage stakeholders and investment relationships, as I say, and ultimately increase profits. Still, ensuring that these tools are used to integrate well is vital, and many businesses fail to, I suppose, understand the importance of the seamless integration and its impact on the operational output of the company as a whole. Cloud computing and SaaS softwares, that's software as a service, they really help to supercharge businesses and their functionality. These joined up technologies give greater visibility, leading to deeper stakeholder investor relationships, agile and innovative models, and really efficient processes and more robust decision making. Implementing automation and AI into a business can also improve productivity by removing the need for staff to focus on admin or other sort of mundane but essential tasks. This increased efficiency will then help reduce delays, increase responsiveness for the firms, also freeing up that extra time wasted to be more productive, redirecting towards developing the business and getting ahead of competitors by really focus on innovation, new opportunities, and other revenue generating activities. But in addition to AI and predictive tools, also help minimize the business's exposure to risk through, we hear a lot, just simple human error. You can also improve collaboration and visibility with an internal nerve center. So forward-thinking businesses, something that we speak to, are taking control of the factors that they can control and are really optimizing them to make them as efficient as possible. So by implementing a fully digital center control tower, or nerve center, if you will, firms can increase their resilience by using this AI to connect and improve visibility and also sort of general business functions. The daily operational processes are improved and supply chain issues are detected and communicated early. It's really to allow people to be, or companies to be, flexible and be able to respond quickly. Having this central nerve center for communications and supply chain management also reduces the need really for companies to visit sites physically, regardless of where they sit location-wise. Inspections, project progress, and compliance can all be monitored within a few clicks, lowering the cost, boosting productivity, and improving the supply chains, the cogs of the wheel, if you will. This also helps provide predictable projections and outcomes of projects. And the last point we've got on this slide here is how to introduce a central location for email project correspondence and document storage. So implementing that central cloud-based storage solution, such as a SharePoint, into the business, or also in some cases on-premise servers, for those of you that are still running those servers internally into the business, really allows employees from wherever they are to access that data and those conversations on any device. So that's a particular advantage for businesses within the oil and gas sector. They'll obviously operate from various locations and different geographies. So that central email management system will help improve business communications and ensure close collaboration with operators, management, investors, and other stakeholders, as we've touched on. And much like the internal nerve center, an email management system will really ensure that everyone is kept up to date. And the most recent conversations and communications are there filed accurately as they happen, regardless, as I say, of where the individual is. So for oil and gas firms, improving collaboration and that visibility, as we've mentioned, is a really quick and really easy way in reality to speed up those processes and improve productivity. One of the best ways to do that is to optimize your primary method of conversation and communication, email. And from our experience, it's probably one of the key things that's managed worst or least effectively for the companies that we speak to day to day. So how can you do this? So enhance your business operations through email management. A good email management solution can really help firms store all of their critical information in a safe, secure destination of their choice. With a powerful search tool, data retrieval is fast and accurate, stopping project delays and increasing that productivity. They can also provide flexibility for employees across the globe. As we've touched on, people working globally nowadays with perhaps a reticence or a hesitancy still to move around into different geographies, having that one central nerve center that everyone can access at any stage, finding there consistently is going to make a huge, huge difference, increasing the speed and transparency between the company communications, also reducing the delays of health and safety risks. Remove those data silos, as I touched on already. No more isolated groups, no more isolated bubbles working in these individualized islands, as you're having one single source of truth now connects the entire team, meaning that you never have to, risk of working from old or outdated information. Can also cut down on project delays. Efficient email management provides complete transparency. All team members know exactly what's going on then and there. And the last point, increase investor confidence in projects. Effortlessly keep those investors in the loop about project updates as they happen, providing peace of mind and transparency across the entire progress. So we've run through a bit of kind of the challenges facing the industry. Some of those, won't be new to any of you guys on the meeting today. But what I'll run through now, as I mentioned at the top of the meeting, is really a real life example of how an oil and energy firm revolutionized the way that they managed their project information and their project conversations by implementing a market leading email management solution in Mail Manager. So as a bit of background, Offshore Design Engineering, ODE, they're an international engineering firm and consultancy for the oil, gas and renewables industry. They build a range of things from offshore wind turbines to oil rigs and provide both construction and consultancy services and asset management. But over the past sort of 10 years, ODI have been responsible for engineering and construction and management of over $3 billion worth of capital projects. So that's a bit of background on them. So ODE initially implemented Mail Manager into the company, but didn't roll it out through all teams. They tried it from one individualized department. The issue with that, whilst that department was running smoothly, is it had not been rolled out to the rest of the business. And in the areas without Mail Manager, they were still starting to notice that staff were struggling or suffering from that productivity drain from filing emails manually. Depending on the required information, the firm would need staff to physically file documents and also have them shipped in and out of the business. This lengthy process left lots of room for human error and lost data, not to mention the time lost to searching information and also the cost of shipping. So ODE finally decided to roll Mail Manager out to the rest of the business, and it's revolutionized the productivity and efficiency around the way that their projects were managed. So employees are spread out across the globe, and what Mail Manager allows them to do effortlessly is connect, collaborate on projects with a clear and visible critical updates in real time. We had a quote from Kirsty, who is part of the business development function at the company. And Kirsty says, in the engineering industry, where many people work on one project in different locations, it's important to ensure that everyone communicates effectively. And it's also important to ensure that and understand that how the projects are progressing. So Kirsty summarizes the main benefits of having a system like Mail Manager as a simple way for people to work collaboratively. And she also mentions that it's about making working across different locations, departments as transparent as possible. A point I know I'm laboring, but I strongly support, Kirsty's saying, I strongly support the use of Mail Manager for the provided ability to work as a team effectively and maximize the amount of time used, to be able to do the things that people are paid to do, working on jobs, making sure that the business function works as it should. So in summary, some of the key benefits that Offshore Design Engineering has experienced since rolling the solution out, since rolling Mail Manager out, include projects managed effortlessly, the admin costs, logs and timescales are all automated, that critical information along with standing projects can be found in seconds. There's a clear, visible string of project conversations across the globe, improving the collaboration. Unnecessary project delays have all been eradicated, and productivity and company output has been dramatically improved. So as I say, that's a real life example. So onto the topic of the company that I work for, and as Greg alluded to a moment ago, Mail Manager. So what is it and how does it work? So the system itself, and Greg also touched on earlier, was developed by Wrapup Engineering. So for those of you that might not be familiar with who Wrapup are, we are a multidisciplinary engineering firm by trade, headquartered in the UK, hence my accent, but we've got offices all over the globe. The solution was developed to fit that exact need that I've touched on already. Companies or members of the team weren't working in the same way. Things were getting lost, data was missing. There was no central place to go and find any of those conversations, both on present jobs and historically, with any confidence. The four key issues that Mail Manager aims to solve for our clients, whether they're engineers, architects, companies that work in oil and energy spheres, these four all ring true to some degree with all of those companies that we speak to. Risk of losing sensitive information, wasted time searching and filing that information, a complete lack of control, whether you're at the top of the business or towards the bottom. How do you make sure that everyone's working in the same way so nothing gets missed, and information being locked within those individual silos, those people's individual Outlook inboxes? So that's enough sort of slideshow from me. As I mentioned, and as Greg touched on as well at the beginning, what I'm going to do next is run into my inbox to give you a very concise demonstration around how Mail Manager can work and how it can really increase those efficiencies that we touched on earlier and eradicate those risks that we also ran through earlier in the session. So coming into my inbox then. So very quickly, and hopefully this looks very familiar to everyone on the call, what Mail Manager is an Outlook plugin. So as far as what it looks like, what it takes up in everyone's inbox, it's these three buttons at the top here, and these additional drop downs. That's all it's going to look like. What I'll do in a moment is run you all through the filing process. So how you ensure everyone, as I mentioned, from the top of the organization to the bottom, capturing emails in the same way to the central project folders. And then I'll dive into the search portion of the system as well. How do you, whoever you are, wherever you are in the company, access the information you need to that up-to-date conversations? Before I do either of those things, I want to quickly run through where the information is stored. And before I do that, I want to also point everyone to the Q&A and chat features as well. I can see a couple of icons there, and I'll dive into those in a moment. But any questions as I'm going through any of this, please feel free to dive those in, and I'll tackle those as and when I can. But a quick comment on where the information gets stored. For those of you sat on the call now, I'm sure this will differ from person to person, but what Mail Manager does is it will file your emails to a central area, your single source of truth hosted by you as the company. So whether that's a SharePoint, that's OneDrive, that's Teams, that's an internal server, Mail Manager will be filing into your specific areas. But how does it get done? How do you ensure that consistency is maintained? How do you ensure that everyone is going to follow that process? So a couple of really easy ways of filing with Mail Manager. Folders on the left-hand side of my inbox here represent my favorites. These are my project folders that I work on now. If I were to drag and drop an email in there, they link directly to the network. So let's say SharePoint. It will file across to SharePoint, so everyone else now has access to that conversation. I can also do a right click on an email, and a file email option here lists a load of suggestions, suggesting where the email should get filed based on combination of AI and machine learning, which I'll also touch on in a moment. Quick and easy ways of filing, but still manual. So how do you get people to follow that process when, I'm sure some of you are receiving upwards of 100 emails a day? So open up an email here. Let's say it's from a client. It's not something I need to respond to right away. If I go to close that conversation down, what Mail Manager will do is intuitively prompt me to file. It will intelligently predict which folder on my network that should get filed into based on, as I say, a combination of AI scanning for those keywords, those key phrases, and a machine learned memory of where you filed emails to and from that person previously. So in this example, it's remembering I've worked with Cameron on CapWest. So all I need to do is click File. The email will get captured across to that project folder centrally. So I've got access to that email's then be filed centrally so that everyone can have access to that. When it comes to replying to emails, because what we hear a lot, and probably more so than things people receive, is that sent items don't get captured, mainly because they're hidden away in the sent items folder there. So when I go to respond to a client and just say, yep, happy with pricing on this, let's go ahead, and I go to click send, again, what Mail Manager will do is prompt me. The prediction there is asking me where that should, suggesting where that should get filed. So the send in file will capture both the thing I'm saying and the email I'm responding to, so you've got both sides of the conversation there. So as I mentioned, I've kind of trying to tackle some of these questions as well. So we've had a question come in from someone saying, can you file to multiple locations? And the short answer to that is yes. If you've got some projects or client folders within SharePoint, or you've got some on the server, yep, you can file to both. Or if one email pertains to two projects and they're sat in different storage areas, you can do that as well. We've got another question here, maybe on a similar theme. What happens if you file to the wrong location? So a couple of ways of rectifying that. When I go into the search, I'll show one of them. But what this status button here allows you to do is it gives you a recent log of where you filed emails. So if I'd captured that email I filed a moment ago from Cameron to the wrong place, I can say either copy to if I want to move it to somewhere else and keep it in its original location, or I can even say move to, which will just physically move that to a different project if I'd misfiled it. So hopefully that answers that question as well. We've got a couple of questions from the chat as well. Is this limited to only using Outlook with Google Workspaces? So apologies, Cam, that's asked that question. Yes, it is only available on Outlook. So that's all versions of Outlook, but yeah, if you're using Google or Gmail, unfortunately, it's not compatible. So I've seen the last question there as well before I move on to the search. How is this better than regular Outlook and SharePoint? Hopefully a bit of that filing manages to answer that to a degree. The searching will definitely, to whomever asked that question, demonstrate a marked improvement on that. But from the filing side of things is firstly and foremost, getting people to actually do it. You know, we at Wrapup, when we were toying around with different systems and you know, how to take the company forward and improve this email management process, we looked at everything under the sun that Outlook could do by itself. What it came down to, what it boils down to for pretty much every company we speak to that ends up rolling Mail Manager out is, how do we rely on people to actually take that action? You guys are all really busy, receive, as I say, huge volume of email. You want to be spending as little time as possible doing those mundane yet important tasks. So what Mail Manager will do on the filing side, make people take that action consistently and correctly. And then when I go into the search, as I'll do now, which is accessed through this button here, that is the one central place that you can go to find everything that's been filed to any location that you've got access and permission to see. So this search here, this is your nerve center, if you like. This is your central database. This is looking at your SharePoint locations, your on-premise server project folders, if you've got those as well. And this is how you as an individual, or anyone for that matter, from any location can go and access those conversations that have been filed. A whole host of refinements I've got on here. At the moment, I'm looking at just over 500,000 emails. Thankfully, I wasn't involved in all of those personally, the majority not anyhow. And there are a whole list of ways that I can really narrow down these filters to see just the conversations that I need to, just the ones that are relevant to me and how I manage my job. So what you've got first here is this enter search terms box. This, if you think of this as your Google bar, searching for keywords, key phrases, key terms that sit anywhere in a conversational thread, whether that's subject line, body of email, name of someone, name of attachment, I can type it all in there. So if I'm putting in something like earthwork, I could type that single word in there, and instantly Mail Manager collates that data and brings me down to 17 emails there in under a second. I can then further refine that and say, okay, of these conversations which contain attachments, and very simply, I've narrowed those down to 3 items from 500,000 in just a couple of seconds there. Now, I appreciate that was a bit of a needle in a haystack search, if you like, a bit of a targeted keyword. So if I take off some of these refinements here and put in something perhaps a bit broader, let's put in something like invoice, which I'm sure will have a fair few emails. Yeah, so about 70,000 emails there. What this enter a location drop down allows you to do is dive into those specific projects or those specific folders that you have on your network. So under here, I've got a list of my favorites, but I can very simply type in a job that I'm working on. If I go into Savills, or a client of ours, work in the UK, here's everything filed to that project that relates to the word invoice. And here's where I can really play around with those refinements. I can say which of these emails were sent from a certain person. Let's say Rory, who I know works on this job with his client, again, that contains an attachment. Or I can play around with this date range. I just want to see emails that have been sent within the last 6 months. And instantly, I found the email I was looking for, which I can preview, or a very simple double click makes Mail Manager do the work for you. It will find that email from that folder, saves you doing the digging, brings that email up, so you've got it in its original format to do whatever you need with it. So yeah, that's a really quick way of doing that. So yes, that's a quick overview of the demonstration. You've got these refinements here to lump on top of each other. The combination is pretty much limitless as far as how you would manage these and how you would go to search those as well. I'll look for a couple more questions, but yeah, other than that, so we're coming up to the sort of half an hour mark, and to kind of keep true to my timings, yeah, perhaps I'll hand back over to yourself, Greg. But yeah, as I say, keep those questions coming through as well. And if you've got any additional questions at all after the call, then by all means, please feel free to send us an email at sales@mailmanager.com. We're very happy to set up either a kind of targeted or a tailored one-on-one demonstration with anyone that wants to learn a bit more about the system. But yeah, or you can email our email address there.
Okay, well, Ben, first and foremost, thank you for that concise and insightful presentation. And as someone who personally spends, I don't know how many hours a day, sifting through emails, sorting emails, I can see the value of it for even an organization such as ourselves. We'll keep the conversation going. There have been a few questions coming in. And again, I thank you as a host for taking the questions as they come in. That's a great efficiency gain as well. I think I heard you start to talk about where the data is stored, but I didn't get a clear thought on that. Can you specifically say where the data is stored?
Yeah, absolutely. Good point, Greg. And this, the short answer is it's up to the individual company, because everyone, and I'm sure you guys will be no different as well as an organization, everyone's got their own sort of central data source. More and more it's Office 365 environments, your SharePoints, your OneDrives, your Teams. For other companies, it's still, and we've still got an internal server at our office as well. So wherever that sits, Mail Manager will plug into it, as well as some more niche construction engineering areas like a Viewpoint or a Procore as well, that some of the guys on the call may have heard of. But yeah, as far as where you can store the data, it's entirely up to you guys, and you have full ownership of that as a client of Mail Manager. We would never host that. Okay, excuse me. Another one that just came in. Can you limit permissions to users? Absolutely, you can. This is a really important point, and something that for any company we speak to, we always run through. So no matter how senior or how junior you are at a company, you'll only be able to see the things that you should. And the way that that's managed is through your common data folders. So when we talk about on-premise servers, that's through what's known as the Active Directory. I'm sure for everyone that's on the call, whether that's in SharePoint or the server, you've got those folders that only the finance guys can see, only the HR guys can see, only management can see. When you link those to the system, that will just mirror those permissions. So those that can see it in SharePoint can see it in Mail Manager. Those that can't won't be able to. And that actually links in as well, Greg, if I'll just dovetail that question, because one of the questions that's come in as we were talking there is, how long does this take to implement? And because it's such a lightweight system, the answer is very quick. So from deciding to go along with Mail Manager to up and running, we've got a lead time of around 2 weeks, but that's just because our implementation guys are really busy at the moment, which is great. Long may that continue. But the actual setup itself, about an hour and a half, and that's no downtime for the team, but then we'll get the training done off the back of that as well. So everyone knows how to use it, how to get the most out of it. And yeah, you get the most on your return on investment straight away.
Okay. Yes, as we like to say here, busy is good. This is actually a personal question. Can you search multiple filing locations? I mean, I know myself, like I said, I get 300 or 400 emails a day on a good day. And then you have to go back and you have to search for something that was a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. But does this allow you to search multiple filing locations?
Yes, absolutely it does. So I suppose, yeah, on top of those areas. So what we see from a lot of our clients is that with those different data environments, maybe the project guys are on SharePoint, the HR team, they're on the server, the finance guys are on OneDrive, or whatever combination it is. Yeah, absolutely. As long as you've got permission, as we talked about permission earlier, permission to see and access those emails on your network, Mail Manager's search will let you see those. So yeah, you can put an email out from SharePoint, you can be working on one from the server. It really doesn't matter.
Okay. Another one that's come in from the audience is how does it manage duplicate emails?
So duplicates is a really easy, it's really easy answer to this. It's part of the core features, and I know those of you guys that are maybe concerned about data storage and that sort of thing, this will hopefully be music to your ears. It will deduplicate those copies. So, I know there's certainly is at a lot of companies we speak to, the CC culture. Send an email out to a client, CC in the entire organization and their better halves, and before you know it, there's 50 people CC'd. So if you're getting an email like that and you will file it, only one original copy is retained, so you're not wasting unnecessary storage on SharePoint or on the server.
Okay. Again, one more that came in, but also very germane to someone like myself. I don't know how many thousands of emails I have for over the years, but are you able to search emails filed before Mail Manager?
Yes, you are. That's a really good question that we do get asked a fair bit. So you can very easily retrospectively file. I'm sure it's true of a lot of the guys on the call, and maybe even yourself, Greg, where you've got those subfolders in your own Outlook, or you go away on holiday, and one of the best things I'm sure everyone feels on this call when you get back and you've got nice chunky email inbox there as well. Yeah, you can grab a load, you can right click, file them retrospectively. You can even, if they're on the server or SharePoint already, just link those folders to Mail Manager so that the search starts indexing them straight away. Those are easily searched, those are easily found, as I say, going back in time.
Okay, excellent. And again, one that just came over. Do the folders sync to online services also, or did they live locally on the Outlook program?
So yes, I've just seen that come through. So yeah, thanks for that question, Cam. So the ones I referred to earlier in the inbox, the ones with the asterisks next to them on the left-hand side, they will link. So if you're on the Outlook Online or on your phone for that matter, and you go into those subfolders, those emails will be there. What they act as from your phone or from the online web version or from your desktop is they act, as I say, they act as kind of filing portals. So if you're dragging and dropping in emails there, they'll also get copied across to your central storage areas. As far as where the emails get stored themselves, yes, there'll be a local copy there, but it'll also be sitting there on SharePoint. So yeah, within the cloud in that example. So yeah, hopefully it's a very long-winded answer to your question, Cam, but hopefully that answers that.
Long-winded is good. Just a couple more. I know the cost and price are never an easy answer premised on the size of the organization, the size of the job. But as you know, this audience particularly, they have to prove return on investment. Using the metrics of your choice, can you provide some insight on the investment in Mail Manager services and the projected payback period?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really interesting one because we always talk in two main terms usually. One is a bit easier to quantify than the other. If we're talking about time, that probably falls into that easy to quantify category. We've heard a lot, very generously, from some of our clients that have done white papers for us, done sort of interviews so we can put together some marketing content. What they tell us is if you're saving 3 minutes a day filing and searching email, 3 minutes a day, you're seeing a return on investment with that, with Mail Manager. That obviously becomes hugely significant, that 3 minutes a day, when you're looking at that over a month, over a year. And probably the one that's less easy to quantify, but we've had instances of clients coming to us saying that we've been sued, we're in the middle of a court case, or the lawyers are coming and they're asking for a huge number of emails on this project we did 5 years ago. It's how do you mitigate against that risk? What are the lawyers' fees? What's the the payback or all that kind of things that everyone wouldn't wish upon any company, but it happens in the industry that we all work in. So as I say, probably less of an easy one to quantify, but yeah, even that peace of mind, which probably isn't a measurable return on investment, but that's what we hear a lot from heads of businesses. How do we have that peace of mind that we can go with confidence and find any email on any conversation within the last 10 years?
Okay, but I'm just checking the interface. I don't see any more questions. Do you see any on your side?
No, looks to be good. If there's any that come in that we did miss, we'll probably get a transcript of that and we can email those back. As I say, on screen, hopefully you guys can still see that. sales@mailmanager.com. Please feel free, drop us a line, ask us any questions, or yeah, if we want to set up an individualized call, then we're more than happy to help out with that.